Mic check, check 1 2, check 1 2 3 4. Welcome to the Duff Show. We got another reaction video for you, a Reactionception brought to you by the TMG fam. Here he is right here, and without further ado, let's get this show on the road.
With another reaction. So listen, man, ever since we figured out, or I figured out about those volcanoes up under the ice, bro, I'm down to figure out what's under everything now. You know what I mean? Including Siberia. Listen,
What's under
so this
it
video
all?
here is scientists' terrifying new discovery under Siberia that changes everything. All right, so if y'all new, hit that subscribe button, join the fam, and dare I say it, let's see what's under Siberia. All right, let's check it out.
This is Russia, and to the right of the country is Siberia, but many people do not know how large that part of the country is. Shown in blue on the map, it covers 77% of the landmass of Russia. However, population-wise, Siberia is responsible for only 23% of the total population of the massive country. However, the sparse population is not the only strange thing about Siberia, because many mysterious things happen in that massive and cold region. In this video, we bring you the terrifying discoveries scientists have made under Siberia. The massive size of Siberia notwithstanding, scientists have been busy conducting research in the unique environment of the cold region. They've come up with many amazing discoveries, and some of them will outrightly terrify you. Not only that, but some of these findings will affect you anywhere you live. But to really appreciate these intriguing discoveries, you need to know the kind of place Siberia is. So what exactly?
I'm just waiting on him to say volcano for some reason. I told you that volcano video got me messed up, man. I'm waiting on that. And you know what I mean? I'm expecting the other type of things, the animals from back in the day, and I expect them to be well preserved because they're under ice and it's very cold. So they should have been well preserved. So, but I'm definitely listening for volcanoes.
Intriguing discoveries, you need to know the kind of place Siberia is. So what exactly does Siberia look like, especially to an outsider that is not used to the region?
It might sound real dumb, but I thought Siberia was like a part of Russia. I thought Russia was the whole north part. I feel like I forgot that Siberia existed or something. Siberia is huge. Jeez. Oh, and additionally, my computer broke. Well, the grandfather laptop. The grandfather laptop that's probably over 20 years old would not turn on. So salute to the grandfather laptop. It served its time. I got my beast computer out, but it didn't have Wi-Fi. I had to go pick up a Wi-Fi adapter from Best Buy. I think it's like 30 or 40 bucks. But without further ado, let's go.
The fact is that most of Russia
Siberia.
is in Siberia, as the region covers three-quarters
most of Russia
of the
is in
massive country.
Siberia.
However,
Okay.
because of the few people living there, Siberia is one of the least populated areas in the entire world. It has somewhere between 7 and 8 people per square mile. You might have heard about the cold temperature in Siberia and even seen pictures of the inhabitants tightly bundled up in thick clothing for protection. During the winter, the temperature may drop to minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 70 degrees Celsius. However, it is not always cold in Siberia, and in the summer months, temperatures could reach 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. This weather is due to the continental climate of the area, characterized by cold winters and warm summers. According to
No. Cold is an understatement, bro. That's worse than freezing. That's different. No, thank you.
evidence, the early humans in Siberia arrived.
Oh, it's probably not as bad as Antarctica. Antarctica is like the worst, right? And it said it got warm summers.
As far back as 125,000 years ago. In 2010, archaeologists discovered a human bone belonging to a hybrid of a Denisovan Neanderthal in the Altai Mountains of Siberia. Siberian lands have long been home to indigenous groups, including the Nivki, the Evenki, and the Buryat. Siberia has many natural wonders, including Lake Baikal, the largest freshwater lake by volume in the world. In fact, this lake accounts for over 20% of the world's fresh surface water. It is also the deepest lake in the world, with a depth of 5,387 feet, or 1,642 meters. Because of the enormous size of Lake Baikal, it is sometimes called the Baikal Sea. The lake is entirely surrounded by mountains, and more than 330 rivers feed water into it. The entire lake freezes over each winter, with ice as thick as 6.5 feet or 2 meters in some places. In the summer, storms form waves that can reach 14.8 feet or 4.5 meters high. Siberia is home to extra-large snowflakes. In the Siberian city of Bratsk, scientists have reported snowflakes measuring 12 inches or 30.5 centimeters in diameter. Other parts of Siberia experience a type of snowfall called diamond dust. That is snow made of very thin, needle-shaped icicles. If you live long enough in this cold place, you can have the same skill some Siberians have that can help them estimate the temperature based on the squeaking sound made when snow is stepped on. The principle is that the sound is more audible in lower temperatures.
That's a skill.
This sound is produced by snow particles squashing together and breaking. Siberia is critical to the economy of Russia. The majority of Russian crude oil and natural gas come from western Siberia, where natural reserves spread over more than 2 million square kilometers. In short, Russia is one of the world's largest natural gas exporters because of its Siberian territories. One of the things that have baffled scientists in Siberia is what appears as wounds on the cold surface of the ground. We are talking about the exploding craters of Siberia. These craters appear suddenly and explosively, leaving a ragged pockmark on the landscape. When they occur, they can throw up a mixture of materials, including dirt, out to hundreds of meters from the epicenter, thanks to the huge amount of force. If you observe the crater's edge, you will notice the earth is a torn, grey jumble of ice and clods of permafrost. Also, the roots of plants exposed around the edge exhibit signs of scorching. This was where scientists started their investigations of these deadly outbursts from the ground surface from. From the air, the freshly exposed dirt stands out against the green tundra and dark lakes around it. The layers of earth and rock exposed further inside the cylindrical...
Yeah, what on earth could that be? Other than like a massive laser beam from a satellite drilling a hole. What else could it be?
hole are almost black, and a pool of water will already be formed at the bottom by the time the scientists reach it. One of such holes was discovered in a sparsely populated corner of the Yamal Peninsula in northwest Siberia. This 164-foot deep or 50-meter hole attracted scientists who wanted to uncover the origin of this strange phenomenon, including Evgeny Chuvalin, a geologist based in Moscow. The hole was discovered by helicopter pilots flying overhead around 26 miles or 42 kilometers from the Bevan-Enkovo gas field on the Yamal Peninsula.
And see, discovering these holes and different things like that kind of makes me think like, you know, I know I'm a little bit for them going in Mars and doing different things, but there's still a lot of things here that we have yet to finish figuring out as well. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope we don't focus all of our attention on other planets and different galaxies and stuff like that, instead of what we got going on right here on Earth that we have still yet to fully discover ourselves. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Like seeing that hole and stuff like that makes my mind really wonder.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, but you know, like going out in space, you don't have to deal with the bureaucracy and the political stuff. Like, you just go to Mars. Like, you don't have to worry about, like, say this Yamal Peninsula is pretend it's in Russia. I don't know where it is, but say it's a Russian country. Now the U.S. isn't friendly, so say me and a scientist wanted to go study these holes, they might not let us in because we're American. You know, like, you have to deal with stuff like that, which is stupid.
As to what could be possibly taking place and what could be the meaning of stuff like this popping up in different places on the planet. You know what I'm saying? On the globe. Like, man.
This illustrates the extreme dangers of these holes, as they could cause lots of hazards when they explode under a gas facility. The scientists who visited it, including Mariana Liebman, chief scientist of the Earth Cryosphere Institute, who has been studying the permafrost in Siberia for more than 40 years, described it as an entirely new feature in permafrost. Another such crater was discovered by a TV crew as they flew past with a team of scientists from the Russian Academy of Sciences during an expedition with local authorities in Yamal. So far, not less than 17 of these holes have been documented in Yamal and Gaidan. Scientists have yet to find a satisfactory answer to the question of what is causing these explosions in Siberia. Now, even though Siberia is cold today, the region has been invaded by aliens before. Of course, there were no green men, and neither were there unidentified flying objects or UFOs. The region was actually hit by an asteroid. On the last day of June 1908, Siberia received a violent and unusual visitor, the largest asteroid impact in recorded history. The event is marked every year as the Tunguska explosion. The explosion happened over the sparsely populated northern forest land above the Tunguska River in what is called Krasnoyarsk Krai today. How massive was the asteroid that visited Siberia? Scientists estimated it was the size of a 25-story building. The asteroid was coming in at a speed of about 33,500 miles or 54,000 kilometers per hour. The blast produced enough energy to annihilate reindeer, flattening out about 80 million trees spread over an area of 830 square miles or 2,150 square kilometers. Eyewitnesses said,
Flattening the trees down, that reminds me of Irma and out on the panhandle of Florida. After Hurricane Irma rolled through, all the trees were flattened down. Not like all the way down flat, but, not how they were. All of them. Every single tree up on the panhandle. It was insane to see. Millions of trees.
Said they saw a fireball, a bluish light that was almost as bright as the sun, streaking across the sky. A flash and a sound similar to artillery fire followed, and a mighty shockwave. However, despite the size of the impact, mysteriously, no crater has ever been found that marks the point of contact with the Earth. Even with no crater, scientists maintain this event produced an impact. The prevailing theory is that the incoming asteroid never struck Earth, and what happened was that it exploded in the atmosphere, causing what scientists call an airburst. This type of atmospheric explosion was still enough to cause massive damage to the forest in the region. The explosion took place between 3 and 6 miles or 5 and 10 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. The explosion...
That's crazy. I never thought about that either. I always assume, naturally in your mind, you assume that it makes impact. It lands, it hits, boom. But you never thought of it not making impact and exploding before it gets there. That makes
crazy.
Wow. Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying, man. We still got a lot to figure out.
Tunguska did make astronomers take the possibility.
2-story, you said the size of a 2-story building, I think. Maybe even bigger. But that's huge. A building coming in it. Who knows? Mock Jesus. Screaming at least 40,000 miles an hour. It's an asteroid. Nothing's traveling in space slowly.
The catastrophic strike by a comet or asteroid seriously. They now have observing programs to watch for near-Earth objects, or NEOs as they're called. At regular meetings, they discuss what might happen if we do find a large object on a collision course with Earth. However, Siberia is full of strange, unexplainable mysteries, some of which can affect the whole world. For example, how do you feel about a 30,000-year-old virus coming back to life? And not just a virus, but a jumbo-sized virus. The ancient pathogen was discovered buried 30 meters 100 feet down in the frozen ground. Called Pithovirus sibericum, it belongs to a class of giant viruses discovered 10 years ago. This virus is wider in diameter than the other giant viruses discovered at 600 nanometers versus 500. It has a genome of 600,000 base pairs.
And unfortunately, with global warming, these are certain things that we have to start thinking about, man, and taking into consideration. Once that ice is melted, what it releases, we have no idea what could be in store. You know what I mean? So that's the scary part of global warming as well.
Imagine the rungs on the DNA ladder which hold the genetic instructions to create 500 proteins. The virus is so large that unlike other viruses, it can be seen under a microscope. The last time it infected anything was more than 30,000 years ago, but in the laboratory, it has sprung to life once again. Tests show that it attacks amoebas. But why should you be concerned about this discovery if Siberia is thousands of miles away from you? It is because, as researchers put it, this is a recipe for disaster. They believe there could be more dangerous pathogens locked in the permafrost. Since the 1970s, the permafrost has retreated and reduced in thickness, and climate change projections suggest it will decrease further. It has also become more accessible and is being eyed for its natural resources. Experts warn that exposing the deep layers could expose new viral threats. Professor Jean-Michel Claverie from the National Center of Scientific Research warns, it is a recipe for disaster. If you start having industrial explorations, people will start to move around the deep permafrost layers. Through mining and drilling, those old layers will be penetrated, and this is where the danger is coming from. For example, ancient strains of the smallpox virus, which was declared eradicated 30 years ago, could pose a risk because if these viruses survive in the same way,
there could be anything from all of history as long as it's been frozen, which is probably since the beginning.
Those amoeba viruses survive, and smallpox is not eradicated from the planet, only stopped on the surface. By going deeper, we may reactivate the possibility that smallpox could become a disease of humans again. Fortunately, the Siberiacum virus poses no danger to humans because it can't infect other animals or us, but other viruses could be unleashed as the ground becomes exposed. Meanwhile, another mystery is unfolding right inside the waters in Siberia as fishermen report catching pikefish with horns. Two of such strangely formed fish were caught in the River Irtish by Alexei Volkov, who called his catch underwater dragons. Volkov and his neighbors have blamed radiation and pollution caused by the fuel inside the debris from the space rocket launch sites at Baikonur in nearby Kazakhstan. Some of the debris fall inside the river. A now unused zirconium plant is also close to where Volkov caught the fish, as reported.
What am I supposed to do with a fish with horns? That brings, like, what do you even, who's taking that off the hook first and foremost? You know what I mean? You know how it is when you fish, you get excited, you pull them in, you ready to take the picture. No. I'm just throwing that.
Man, he got horns.
Or just cut the line. Yeah.
Cut that line.
By the Super Omsk news agency. Volkov from Tara said the larger fish had 2 horns, while the smaller one had 4. He said, I was impressed with the catch. The fish were 14 kilograms and 7 kilograms. They had horns bent back towards their tail. The smaller fish had 4 horns. Both fish were immediately nicknamed dragons. Other anglers advised Volkov not to eat these strange fish, but Volkov ate them anyway.
That is crazy. He's just like, I'm gonna eat it anyway.
I was just about to say, you wouldn't have had to tell me that. I wouldn't eat it, no way. But this joker did.
He dried and preserved the bizarre heads which you can find in his garage. What effect the fish may have on Volkov's health is yet to be seen.
Wild.
However, locals have blamed strange illnesses.
Why you gotta show me the smallpox again? It's disgusting.
Launch site. Siberia also held the oldest permafrost ever discovered. This find was courtesy of an international team of researchers. The permafrost layer is located near the eastern Siberian village of Batagay. It has been frozen at a depth of about 50 meters for the past 650,000 years. This is the oldest ever recorded. The team, which included German, Russian and English researchers, was led by Julian Merton from the University of Sussex. The finding is highly critical because it shows that even during warmer periods, permafrost doesn't necessarily have to thaw entirely. The Batagay apparently survived a particularly warm phase roughly 130,000 years ago, when it was 4 to 5 degrees Celsius warmer in the Arctic summer than today. But what is permafrost? It is ground that is soil or rock and includes ice or organic material that remains at or below 0 degrees Celsius for at least 2 consecutive years.
The simple definition, it is the earth that's frozen always, unless something weird happens.
The problem with the thawing of permafrost is that it activates bacteria that begin breaking down the ancient biomass and, through their metabolic processes, release the climate-relevant gases carbon dioxide and methane. The more intensive the thawing, the more gas is released. With regard to ongoing climate change, experts fear that this aspect could worsen the greenhouse effect.
The light's
The
getting
discovery
hot.
also has
Turn
pointed
that
scientists
off.
to the sensitivity of permafrost to anthropogenic disturbances.
Sorry.
The 650,000-year-old Batagay
Can't see me,
permafrost is
that's too
situated
bad.
on a hill slope at a depth of about 50 meters, where the temperature remains stable at minus 10 degrees Celsius. But from the 1940s to the 1960s, the slope was partly cleared and used by heavy tracked vehicles as a road to reach a nearby mine. This caused the permafrost to lose its protective and insulating plant cover. As a result, the younger permafrost began thawing near the surface in summer until the ground finally began sliding away, uncovering the older permafrost. For years, meltwater has transported the thawed material downhill, forming a large crater known as the Batagayka crater. Sadly, once the damage is done, you can't repair it because the exposed permafrost thaws even more with every summer. In the past 50 years, the mega slump has grown to a width of about 900 meters. Do you believe in unicorns? If yes, you may want to find your way to Siberia. Scientists have for the first time analyzed the DNA of an extinct unicorn in Siberia and realized everyone had been wrong about the mysterious beast. But the discovery reveals a chilling fact that can affect our food supply today. Contrary to what was previously believed, the ancient rhinoceros didn't perish 200,000 years ago before the last ice age. The strange animal survived much longer, only disappearing as recently as 36,000 years ago. In fact, there is no reason they couldn't have lived alongside modern humans. Also, the Siberian unicorn was not closely related to modern rhinos.
Look at the size of that horn. My God. That thing's gotta have a strong neck.
It was a different lineage that split from the line that led to the rhinos of today over 40 million years ago. The confusion had been due to a lack of fossil records. Only a few fragmented bones had been recovered, and apart from revealing the size of the beast, which was about 3.5 tons or the size of a smaller African elephant, they've been difficult to analyze. For example, part of a skull that was described in a 2016 paper was radiocarbon dated up to 29,000 years ago, but the result could not be relied upon because there was a minute amount of collagen. However, the scientists also discovered that humans were not responsible for the disappearance of the animal. The animals died off during a period of climate change which, although not severe, altered plant life. While other animals survived by changing from a diet of grass, the ancient rhino could not do the same and hence died. Scientists say the most worrying aspect of this discovery is the fact that climate change doesn't need to be severe to wipe out a whole species of animals. As such, climate change...
Now that's scary. That's scary to even think of. You always, in your mind, go to catastrophic, thinking something huge, enormous happening.
Today, which is caused by human activity, threatens our food supply. One of the advantages of the ice-cold climate of Siberia is that it preserves prehistoric animals in remarkable conditions. The thawing of permafrost in Siberia is yielding well-preserved carcasses of ancient animals. One of such discoveries is a 28,000 years old female lion cub named Sparta. Sparta was so young that scientists suspect it still has traces of its mother's milk. Sparta was found in the Semyolyark River in Russia's Yakutia region, the same place a second lion cub called Boris was found the year before. And while the cubs were found 15 meters apart, they were not from the same litter. In fact, scientists concluded that thousands of years separated the two young lions. Boris, a male cub, lived around 43,448 years ago. The two cubs, aged 1 to 2 months, were found by mammoth tusk collectors. Two other lion cubs named Uyan and Dina have also been found in the region in recent years. What is special about this find is that cave lions went extinct
Yeah, those cubs, well, not that one so much, but the other ones they were showing, they look pristine. They're 40, 20, 30, 40,000 years old. They look like they were...
Sparta was so well preserved that it still
frozen yesterday.
Amazingly preserved. Look at that, bro. Like, from a distance, you'd think that animal was laying there sleeping from a far distance.
Yeah.
Bro. Not until you get up on them, you would think otherwise.
Fur, internal organs, and skeleton. And if a 28,000-year-old lion cub is not old enough for you, another group of scientists found a 40,000 years old severed head of a wolf. Thanks to the permafrost, many details of the animal are preserved. The head was found by a local resident, Pavel Efimov. The wolf is believed to have been between 2 and 4 years old when it died, The head measures 40 centimeters or 15.7 inches long, and the brain is intact. The discovery required international cooperation, as it was Japanese scientists that dated the head as more than 40,000 years old, while scientists at the Swedish Museum of Natural History would study its DNA to learn more about the long-dead animal. Scientists will compare the head to the head of a modern wolf to see how the species has evolved. Siberia seems to have an affinity for aliens because locals at one time reported finding a huge UFO fragment. A metal object the size of a Volkswagen Beetle was discovered near a remote village in Siberia. The object weighs 200 kilograms or 440 pounds. It is cylindrical and capped on one end by a ridged dome. When it was sighted in the forest near the village of Otradnensky, it was attached to a trailer. The spotters dragged it through the snow to their village. They then alerted Moscow authorities, who promptly confiscated it for inspection. An investigation would suggest a less exotic origin for the object. It was partly made from titanium and was not radioactive at all. However, that does not mean they've been able to unravel the object's origin. Let's hear what you think of Siberia in the comments section below.
Sheesh.
What you think, TMG fam?
Yo, this is some of the things that we got to think about, bro. With all of the possible possibilities and the global warming and everything like that, man, it's a lot of things that we could discover and release into the atmosphere possibly. And I say possibly, you know what I'm saying, because can't really make those type of statements. But yeah, man, it's beyond just our day-to-day life, man. There's so many things going on, bro, that, you know, we be in our little bubble going throughout our day that we don't even think about until it hits the news, and then we're already taken by surprise, man. But yeah, scary, interesting, all of those things wrapped into one, you know what I mean? Y'all get at me and let me know what you thought of this video. Scientists terrifying new discoveries under Siberia that changes
Thank you,
everything.
TMG fam.
Right. And leave a like.
I appreciate you. That was an excellent choice. Oh, here's not really sure why that was terrifying. Yeah, I just feel like it's archaeology. You know, just discovering what's there. You know, it's our planet. It's not scary, you know, unless you are afraid of it. I guess then it's scary. But yeah, it was a great, informative video. I don't know why it was terrifying. None of it really seemed new to me, other than that big ass unicorn and those circles in the ground. Like, what on earth? Those are just a couple of new things that I definitely didn't know anything about. I'll come at you later with weather report. It's looking interesting. Looking very interesting. Yeah, you just get a sneak peek for now. Sneak peek of the Duff Show weather. All right. I'll see you later.